Hello everyone, hello and welcome to Barcelona, to the sunny Barcelona, and welcome to the headquarters of SEATCODE. Thanks to the all Pluralsight community, especially for inviting us and allow us to share with you some insights of this amazing project that is SEATCODE. Let's gonna share with you some of these insights on the first and a half year that we have been alive. My name is Buenosvinos and I'm the responsible of SEATCODE. My background is mainly coming from the .com environment, from the internet ecosystem, and we'll be considering that for some of the tips and tricks that we're going to be sharing with you. For those you don't know SEAT is the car manufacturer, part of the whole Volkswagen group. Together, SEAT and Cupra, the premium brand of SEAT, are offering mobility services and obviously cars and multiple types of vehicles to their own customers. SEATCODE helps not only SEAT, and also Cupra, and we are also collaborating with the whole Volkswagen group, developing solutions that makes their life way easier. SEATCODE is the digital enabler, is the digital machine that helps these companies to grow and accelerate in their own internal needs. We are here basically to optimize their own internal processes, but also, and way more important, to find new business models that allow these companies to find the new way in the future of mobility. SEATCODE is also part of the whole software development centers network that Volkswagen has all over the world. We are typically organized per topic, per theme. In our case, we are crazy about mobility and IoT solutions. That's why we are not only focusing, because we have one business line that is mobility and micromobility, where we develop not only software solutions, but also we connect hardware and software in order to find new ways of the mobility for citizens, for companies, for neighborhoods, and even on your personal mobility. The second business line that we focus is the production and logistics. As you can imagine, huge car manufacturer has a lot of challenges in terms of production and logistics. So if you are able to solve these kind of problems, imagine what you can do with the small and medium companies in all over the country. In our case, we are working towards finding solutions, SaaS solutions that we can license and we can offer to these small and medium companies in order to accelerate their own internal business and become more competitive in this nowadays. The third business line is the customer journey. And this is the one where we are focusing on making our customers become fans of the brand. And here we are owning all the websites, SEAT, Cupra, and all the mobile applications. We want to guarantee that all the user experience is consistent all over the different touch points that a customer can have with the brands. Not only thinking on digital, car configurators, websites, and so on, but also when they are even visiting a dealer. So we are focusing from the most offline experience to the most online experience. So considering all of this, we're going to be sharing with you during this 1 year and a half some of the insights that we have learned in order to create like this kind of a startup and lab ecosystem mindset in a company like SEAT. Let's gonna go for it. One of the decisions to take at the beginning was to decide to start small or start big. So start small is sort of easy. You can identify 2-3 projects, you can start like hiring internally, you can build the teams, and you can start working on them. Probably this is I would say the best approach that you can figure it out, especially at the beginning. The thing that happens is that it takes some time in order to get enough traction inside the company to be this enabler, this disruptor inside of the company. So that's why, in our case, we decided to start big. Obviously, starting with so many people, we started in fact with around 200 people external, generates a lot of overhead, that's for sure. But it's also true that when you start so many projects with so amount of people, the impact that you can generate in the company, in this case SEAT, in the short term is really, really high. Once you start delivering and you generate some traction and the customer can feel the business value that you are generating and you are impacting positively, then you can start like deciding and doing other activities such as internalizing not so obvious projects, jumping into some specific processes inside of the company. So in this case, obviously, starting small is probably the smartest thing to go for. But if you decide to, in the short term, to generate a huge impact, one of the main benefits or one of the main tricks here on our learnings is to start big with some help from outside and then switching between the external resources by internal resources. Another insight is how we create the company. And this is because SEATCODE is not a business unit from SEAT. SEATCODE is a totally independent company. It's 100% participated by SEAT, obviously. But in this case, having a totally separate company gives us some freedom in order to implement our own internal processes and our own ways of working. So obviously, you have some frictions. You need to coordinate the two worlds. I mean, more the corporative one and SEATCODE in this sense. So here, our recommendation, or at least our experience, is that if you are thinking about creating an innovation center or a lab or an external startup in order to move forward, one of the interesting tricks is to think about creating a totally independent company. Some of you may be thinking that we are then free riders, and this is not the case. Because if you want to disrupt, but pretending to go totally in the free rider space, you're going to be hitting a lot of walls. You're going to be hitting bureaucracy processes or integration with different IT systems. That's why it's super important that you find a way to overlap the two different walls. And this is probably where, in my case, my role is sort of important, because I'm together in the two walls. I'm the responsible of SEATCODE, but I'm also part of the whole IT organization inside of SEAT. This means that we can transfer knowledge from one side to another. We can try to simplify and learn from the different organizations and share basically different insights that can benefit the both parts, not only like the startup mindset, but also the corporate one. So if you want to be successful, going only on your own is probably not the best choice. You can probably accelerate a bit in the short term, but if you want to go farther away, you will have to go all together. And this is why finding key persons that can collaborate between the different organizations is going to be a key important task to implement if you want to succeed. One of the most surprising things when you meet a big corporation is how they are organized. And especially in this case, in the industrial ecosystem, where basically we are or SEAT is so used to build cars. You typically organize the company per functions. And this is probably maximizing the performance of everyone in a process that is like one step before the other. When you are developing software, the ecosystem or the projects that you are facing are not so stable, I would say. They are way more dynamic, and the uncertainty that you have in order to develop projects, they are way higher. That's why, in our case, when you are coming from a .com environment, you typically organize per goals, per business orientation, not per functions. So here, if you are thinking about building your own internal lab, what I would suggest, exactly as we were pointing before in terms of business orientation, finding hierarchy models that are not so bureaucratic, let's call it this way, and more lean organizations, where you don't have so many different middle levels of management, where everyone is working closely, hands-on in every single project, and you are basically reducing the overhead of communication and coordination. Definitely your goals are going to be more valuable in the short term. So if you're thinking about building your own innovation, at least from our experience and our insights, thinking about organizing per business goals, and don't think too much about organizing per functions or adding multiple layers of abstraction. So I'm coming from the .com environment, from internet. I didn't know anything about industrial, except for my father that was working in some kind of factory at some point. But to tell you the truth, I believe that the combination of mixing the mindset of a .com environment, lean approaches, agile methodologies, all together in order to accelerate what a whole industrial ecosystem in terms of problems and in terms of opportunities are basically offering, I think it's a really good combination. Here, if you think about all the potentials, you have as a big corporation, you have the financial muscle, you have a lot of distribution channels. In our case, we have a fantastic network of dealers. We have a lot of problems to solve and a lot of problems that are super scalable in terms of data analysis, in terms of computer vision, in terms of artificial intelligence. So a lot of challenges that any kind of startup would kill in order to have and in order to solve. So here, if you combine this combination of lean approach, agile mindset, in order to keep iterating, being developing or delivering value on small chunks in a continuously basis, doing continuous learning and continuous improvement, in a sector like an industrial, can guarantee you basically the success. Why? Because An enterprise ecosystem is quite complex in general. So it's quite difficult to solve the problems on one single go. And in fact, if you try to sit down with everyone, a lot of smart people in one single room, and try to design what is the best scenario possible, or what is the best solution possible in order to fix some kind of a specific problem, you can fall in this kind of paralysis by analysis approach. So in our case, what is happening is that meanwhile some people is trying to define what is the de facto, what is the official or default solution to solve some specific problems, in parallel you have other teams that are building small solutions that, because they are getting used and they are growing in terms of traction, they become the de facto solution. So in this case, if you are working in this more enterprise scenario and you have like this kind of opportunities to have a startup or lab team, having this approach of delivering first something small and keep iterating will probably be more successful or reduce the risk of failing the whole project or failing the whole product. So in this case, you can apply agile methodologies for sure in big corporations, even though sometimes it's a bit tricky. But I mean, I can guarantee you that it's going to be reducing the risk of failure inside of the company. When creating your innovation or your lab or your startup in order to disrupt your main big company, you can fall in a trap that is creating something that is too much technical, too much tech, what sometimes we call tech by tech or tech because of tech. And this is basically a problem that you need to escape from. Why? Because if you create something that is only focusing in technical implementation or technical architecture or technical decisions, you are losing the focus of your customers. You are losing the main goal. And that's why in our case in SEATCODE, we designed SEATCODE since the beginning with a heavily business-oriented mindset. This means that everything we develop, even though we are techie people and we like to hack code on basically 99% of our time, we don't forget about the main goal, which is basically our customers. And not customers as some responsible of the business units inside of SEAT, the true customers. I mean, the ones that are going into a dealer and they want to buy a car, or the ones that are like using some kind of logistics software inside of our factory. Tech is also business. So tech is not a goal, it's basically the way to achieve the final goal. As a summary, if you are thinking about creating your innovation center or a startup, there are some things that you should probably take in consideration. Do you want to start small or big? In our case, big went well, even though we have to overcome the whole overhead. Try to not be only free riders. You need to basically connect the two worlds, the whole IT organization plus also the whole new ways of working in terms of the startup. You will have to focus on the business-oriented approach. You cannot only run on the pure technical topics, because if not, you will be losing traction and your business value that you're going to be generating to your customers are going to be really, really low. So that's why it's important that you keep this business orientation. At the end, if you want to grow, if you want to hire up to 150 developers as we did in 1.5 years, develop more than 60 projects, and even launch your own internal products that you can commercialize or use not only internally but also outside of the market, as we are doing with our own mobility platform. Probably you need to keep like this combination of .com environment mindset with the whole power of an industrial ecosystem as SEAT is offering to us. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope that it's useful. And if you have any other questions and any other insights, I'm happy to be with you and share in all the social networks. So, ciao.